ceasefire agreement. The group has confirmed in a statement on its Telegram channel that the bodies will be returned at 4 p.m. local time. So far, Hamas has handed back the remains of 15 out of 28 bodies under the deal. Meanwhile, the IDF is preparing to receive the bodies and transfer them to the National Institute for Forensic Medicine for identification. The handover is expected to take place amid ongoing tensions in the region as efforts for a broader ceasefire continue. In Gaza, Hamas's armed wing, the Azzedine al-Qassam brigades, have announced it will hand over the remains of 2 more Israeli hostages as part of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement. The group has confirmed in a statement on its Telegram channel that the bodies will be returned at 4 p.m. local time. So far, Hamas has handed back the remains of 15 out of 28 bodies under the deal. Meanwhile, the IDF is preparing to receive the bodies and transfer them to the National Institute for Forensic Medicine for identification. The handover is expected to take place amid ongoing tensions in the region as efforts for a broader ceasefire continue. Now for this discussion, we welcome Matthew Vadam. He's an American journalist, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us again. Good to see you.
Hi. Great.
Matthew, what do you think, how is ceasefire's first phase, or phase 1, holding on? And do you think that they are ready to move to phase 2?
I don't know if they're ready to move to phase 2. The ceasefire has been very shaky so far. It's been interrupted by, there have been some attacks during the ceasefire, and it may ultimately last. But right now, it's not off to a very good beginning. It does not help that Hamas has not been returning the bodies of dead Israeli hostages according to the schedule, and Israel and the United States are not happy about this. And I understand Hamas has been complaining that because of the bombing, because of Israel's attacks on Gaza, that it's difficult to locate all the bodies, but that seems like a pretty feeble excuse to me. If they didn't think they were, if the bodies were going to be difficult to return, then maybe they should have written provisions into the agreement to give them more time to do it. So it just seems to me like a stalling tactic, and I think that Hamas. I've never thought that Hamas was sincere. I don't think Hamas intends to honor the peace deal ultimately, and that they are just taking their time because they want to drag things out to have more time to rearm and to reorganize their campaign of terrorism against Israel. But, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and maybe the peace deal will hold. But I don't think it's off to a very good start.
And Matthew, what do you think is the next, what do you think which country should mediate, or America should do or could do to make sure that this fragile ceasefire, this situation holds?
Well, I think that right now the U.S. government and President Trump are applying pressure to Hamas. And right now, President Trump has said that if Hamas does not cooperate and hand over the bodies, that, there may be, I don't think he specified what he was going to do, but he implied that there might be further, he might be okay with further military strikes against Hamas to force their compliance. So I think that right now the United States and Israel are applying pressure to Hamas to cooperate. And I think that at the moment, that's about all that they can, I think that's about all that they can do at the moment.
And do you think, Matthew, do you think that Qatar or Turkey could play a role in mediating or making sure that Hamas disarms and this ceasefire
That a
holds?
couple of what?
The Hamas disarms. Oh, the countries, I mean Turkey.
Is Hamas going to disarm? They say they're going to disarm, but you know, right now they've been very busy on a campaign of retribution against people who were accused of being collaborators with Israel. So they've been on a killing spree, murdering their own people in Gaza right now. So, you know, I don't think they're too eager to disarm, but, you know, time will tell on this point. They're not, was created to destroy Israel. That was their pledge, you know, to kill Jews. They want to do that. They want to eliminate Israel. They don't want, it's more important to them than creating a Palestinian state. They want to eradicate Israel, wipe it off the map. And so if they are, and I think the peace deal gets in the way. And I don't think their efforts are sincere. I think they want to rearm and keep attacking Israel. So I'm not optimistic about the prospects of the peace deal lasting over time.
With that, I would like to thank Matthew Wadham for joining us all the way from Washington as a journalist and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next news. For the first time in 2 years, Al-Azhar University in Gaza has reopened its doors to students. This took place on October 27th and acts as a powerful symbol of hope after war and devastation. The campus, once scarred by conflict, is now filled with students registering for classes, many for the first time since the 2023 Israel-Hamas war brought education to a halt. Among them, first-year medical student Shahad says returning to in-person learning feels like a new beginning. Before the war, Gaza had more than 50 universities serving over 200,000 students, most now damaged or destroyed. At Al-Azhar, bullet holes and shattered labs still mark the walls, but staffs are salvaging what they can to restart teaching. Let's in fact listen into what some of the students have said.
كان التعليم صعب كتير والتعليم إلكتروني كتير صعب إنه في معلومات بدنا نحاول نفهمها فكانت توصلنا بشكل بسيط المعلومات اللي على الإنترنت.
هو أعطانا شعور الأمل من جديد بعد هالدمار اللي صار فينا في السنتين الحرب إنه ترجع اليوم